Well, this is my husband, my 2-year-old, back in 2004. And he's standing in front of a very, very large cypress tree in the Cat Island Wildlife Refuge, just north of St. Francisville. What's special about this refuge is that the river is not levied at that point. And so this refuge floods every year, you know, sometimes to depth 8, 10, 12, 15 feet. And the woods there are cypress and mixed hardwoods, oaks, and so on, and grasses, because the shrubs all get drowned. The champion cypress tree, ball cypress tree for this continent is at Cat Island. I didn't put a picture in, but part of it is hollowed out, and you could easily see that you could actually live in there. It would be a small room. What I have next to it is black gum, and one of the things I like to do, one of the reasons I like to draw plants is because it helps me understand them and recognize them and know what the differences are. The one on the left is a goes by water tubular, black gum. It's got a number of common names, but it's the gum that grows in the swamp. Nisa aquatica is the scientific name. And these are the only 2 trees that will grow in water. There aren't any others. They have to have special adaptations because when you sit in water, it's hard to get oxygen in your roots. And so the trees have to adapt especially to get oxygen. And I like to be able to see if I can, can I tell the difference between the 2 without looking up? The leaves are very different. But if the leaves aren't on, or I'm just walking through the woods, can I tell the difference? And the cypress always has a more fluted base. Depends just how fluted, depends on what its water regime is. Like, does it flood regularly? Is it fast running water, or is it slow moving water? Is it water that's highly oxygenated or not? And so it'll develop differently, but it might not have a base that's quite that big or spread out, but it flutes more, whereas I don't know if you can tell that the black gum will be more rounded on its ridges, and then it'll just have the slightest sort of like bell curve, whereas the cypress kind of comes in like this. And the bark's a little different too. But these are both very big trees. That one's on Pearl River. And the gum will dominate in areas where perhaps the nutrients are a little poorer and the oxygen is a little less. And the cypress will dominate in areas where perhaps you have a little faster moving water or more nutrients. And you can kind of tell that by what's on top, because the cypress puts out many more little leaves, and will have leaves the whole way down, whereas what the gum does is just like shoots up and has this little bunch of leaves way at the top. So it's very conservative in the amount of green leaves it's going to put out. So you can tell a little bit about what kind of swamp you're in if you know which one dominates. And then of course you get those transition zones where you have both the gum and the cypress. Feel free to jump in. This is somebody I go canoeing with very often, and who works with me on native plants at home. Anyway, so I'm always fascinated by these trees, just like the presence they have, and they look like giant feet to me. And if you give me the next slide. This is Bedeco Creek, which is on the North Shore, and there are gum and cypress in here. And I think I call this something like swamp horses or something, because they look like the feet of big horses walking along to them. A lot of these slides are a little overexposed, I'm not sure if they work. But anyway, Bedeco Creek on the North Shore, you have a lot of tannins in the water. The water will be clear but very dark at the bottom. And so you get all these nice reflections, and it's the fall, so you have red leaves underneath the water, and you can see them pushing up. Okay. Pushing up. Okay. This is, I'm not sure. I think it's off Blind River. You cross Blind River again, somewhere between La Place and Gonzales on the I-10. And it's a canal, which you can tell, of course, because it's straight. But the reason I put this in is that a lot of times what I try to do in my work is tell something about the landscape, or I'm drawing it just, you know, sort of for my own personal education so that I can understand something about the landscape. So this was a dredged canal, which, you know, pretty much any straight waterway is going to be a dredged canal. And you can tell that the spoil bank, so they pick up all this muck out of the swamp, and they're going to dump the mud on one side or the other. But they're going to dump it all on one side, because the dredge will just be picking up, dumping, picking up, dumping, and then just move on down. They're not going to dump it on both sides. You can tell that the spoil bank is on this side, because on this side you've got cypress and probably some gum. And then over here, this little red one, that's the swamp red maple, which will grow on just about anything that sticks itself above water. It's a very opportunistic tree, very fast grower, kind of a weak tree, not long lived, compared to the cypress, which can live several thousand years, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 years. You know, a maple might live 70 or 80. But in the well, really still late winter, the swamp goes gray in the winter. And then in the spring, the first color you're going to see are the seeds and the flowers of the swamp red maple. The flowers are bright red, or, you know, kind of a vermilion, and then the seeds, when they first come out and grow, will be that bright red as well on the female trees. And then slowly, up through the summer, they're going to turn green and then brown and then fall off. Yeah. But anyway, so you know that the spoil bank is on your left. You know, I don't know why that would make a difference to you ever, but I just like to know those things. So, and then the swamp red maple is the one around New Orleans. Actually, it didn't get species status, but it got what you call, I think, variety status. So is it actually it is species.
Or variety term.
It's varieties.
Yes. Variety.
Maybe it didn't rise to the level of species, but the swamp red maple that is around New Orleans is recognized for having brighter fruit, bigger fruit than the other red maples, even, you know, going a little bit further north in Louisiana, and the swamp red maple, the red maple grows, you know, quite far north. But the swamp red maple, which is Nassau, Rupert, and Drummondie, is for just around the New Orleans area, because for some reason it's got this brilliant color. And it's an amazing tree because its roots can do anything the tree needs it to do in order to grow. And the next slide. I'll show you. I'll veer off my talk here. I'll get back to this one thing. Anyway, this is in the La Branche wetlands, and this is an area that it's the Bayou La Branche has been dredged, but a lot of it is still original. So this is original swamp that hasn't really been, it's been logged, but it's come back, hasn't been messed around with too much. This is La Branche wetlands.